I used to be afraid of conflict. As a matter of fact, I would avoid it at all costs, even if it hurt me not dealing with it right at that moment. Nod your head if you know what I'm talking about. Since then, I've discovered the 7 secrets of conflict resolution. And here's secret number 7. Number 7 is about finding their needs. What is their actual need that they have? So before we go into solving their solutions, it's really important that we find out exactly what are the needs that we need as human beings. And in the 40s, there was a gentleman by the name of Maslow, who took a look at what the human needs are. He studied very successful people like Eleanor Roosevelt and Einstein, and he started to take a look at what were the needs that people had into getting to the point where they actually hit that point of self-actualization. And so looking at it from the bottom to the top, he started to identify what the needs were in specific areas. So at that very bottom level is the one that we call, or he named, the physiological needs that people have. Obviously, the physiological meaning what we need to survive as a body. Now, in other words, we need to take in air, we've got to have food that we have to eat, water that keeps us going, and interestingly enough, both sex and sleep are things that are what are considered physiological needs. And if you've ever been sleep deprived, you know that we don't function that well. As you moved up that ladder, the next one, once you have all of those needs that we have, and those needs have been fulfilled, then we have what is called safety. We want to make sure that we have security. You know, when you look at what is that security of our body, you know, is that our body is in shape, we're not in peril. We've got good morality is around us. We actually have employment where we're actually earning money. We earn money, so we can now, once we've got that in place, we can think of, I want safety for my family. I want safety for the health of myself and my family. I want to make sure that there's security on the property, that I have a home, an apartment, things that I live in. I want to make sure that that is secure. So physiological is the first one. You moved up to safety. And then as you go to the next one, as you moved up, and remember, it's always as those needs have been fulfilled. So once the physiological and the safety needs are fulfilled, the next need that we have as we move up this ladder towards self-actualization, self-fulfillment, is love and belonging. That's where we're make sure that as we're in a community, it's important that we have friendships, that we have family, and the family that is around us. Obviously, when we have in our family nature, we want to make sure that we procreate. We want to pass on our lineage, so sexual intimacy is a part of that as well. So remember, now that once those needs are filled, so now we're safe, we got all the things that we need for our body to survive. We're belonging. We're a part of our group. In our communities, we fit and we belong. We're not being ostracized because we know that we can't live outside of our community alone, or very few people want to. And the next area as we move that is esteem. Now, esteem is, now that we've got that, we're in part of that community, we have the self-esteem, we've got that on our own, we're confident in what we're doing. We strive to achieve more things than we've done before. We want respect of others, and we want to be respected by others, and so we respect them back. So we have esteem is a necessary need, and interestingly enough, that is one of the failings and the things that you want to seek. That when people drop down to another level, this is often one of the things that can be needs that are missing, and you can start to analyze that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. As we have that, now remember, we have all the needs that we need for our body to survive. We live in a safe environment that's free from chaos, war, etc. We've started to build up a family, and in our network that we have, not only of family and friends, but now we're starting to seek esteem. You know, they're seeing us in a better light. We know that in communities, those that that do a really good job are positioned higher on a higher level, and those that make more mistakes are positioned lower. Unfortunately, not as we know so much in the education system, but that's what happens in communities. Those people that are doing a great job are seen to be better and of more value, so that's where this confidence in what you do, esteem from others, so we can arise and achieve. Now, once we've got that, now the next step that we have above that is the self-actualization. And this is where we're actually, as Maslow put it, became to be the person that we were meant to be. And what that means is that in our life we have morality, creativity. We're allowed for our creativity to flow and make us better, allow us to expand our knowledge, be spontaneous, to be able to problem solve, to be free of lack of prejudice, and then to be acceptance of facts, because we know it's about knowledge. Everything in the self-actualization area is about knowledge and expanding knowledge, so we're increasing ourselves personally and professionally. Now, here's the interesting part, and when it comes to finding what the needs are, as people are working up this ladder, and you do not have to be at a self-actualization level in order for you to drop down. However, here is what can happen and what you're looking for in amongst family, business, etc. Just remember, and I'm sure you've seen this, and it's actually a great plot of what happens in many movies. You can see the actor, the hero that is in the movie, is at a point of self-actualization. They've got all the money they have. They have all the everything that they need in the world. They've got an incredible family. They have, their business is great. They have an incredible home life. Money is flowing in. And then all of a sudden something will happen where somebody will challenge their safety. If it happens to be that somebody challenges their employment or they get ousted, then they're going to drop down to safety. Think about the movies that you see where the multimillionaire has everything that everybody wants, but then somebody kidnaps their child or kidnaps them or threatens their own safety. Then what happens is they're going to revert down to the lowest need that they have before they can arise again. So remember, if somebody is threatening you by threatening to take your life or taking away your food or water, etc., then you're going to shrink down to where your lowest need level is, and that would be one of physiological. If somebody's holding a knife to me, threaten me to mug me, then generally people say, listen, you can have my money, you can have my life, you can do whatever you want. Please don't harm me, please don't harm my family. So they'll always shrink down to the lowest level of need. So that's what you're looking for. So I'm not saying that it's always going to be about people with their life in peril, but if somebody is, let's say they're at a level of esteem, and then all of a sudden they're if you look at employment, they're threatened with unemployment, they're now everything goes. They don't care about their self-esteem. They don't care about with the respect of others. They want to make sure that they're dropping down to that. My need is I need to get a job. I need to do whatever it is that I need to do to provide for my family. So always understand, people will always drop down to their lowest level of need. Now, the interesting part is there was another psychologist by the name of Hertzberg that actually took what Maslow did on the personal side, and he applied it, in my mind, to the more of the business side or the professional side. And he started to take a look at as what Maslow did, and then how did he apply that to every day when it comes to the workforce. And then he found that at that time that, obviously at that first level, people remember, if you're on the job, that you're still worried about your safety and about your personal life. So in other words, when I go into my work and into my place of work, am I safe? Do I have to worry about that I'm going to get sick or die or whatever while I'm in my job? People always call that hazard pay, but the reality is some people are going to say, look, I don't care how much you pay me, I will not work in this kind of environment because it challenges my life. So the next step up was still, so the first one was still physiological, the second one is safety, but what happens in this one, the safety that you want is more about your work environment. What's the company policy like for you? Is the company policy the side that that really helps me to feel safe for my job? If I got job security, do I have to worry about that I've been hired but somebody else is going to take my job? What is the working conditions that I have? Have you got me working where it's an acceptable number of hours a day, or do I working for very little pay for an astronomical number of hours and I don't even get to see my family? So remember, it's still working on that level of physiological. Once you've got that done, now your needs that you have to get are safety. And once you see that those are complete and all those needs are complete, now it works up to and love and belonging. You might not love your boss, the charges, or people that are on your supervisors, and we're not saying you should, but what it is, it's about belonging, because now you're in a culture, a business culture, and you're thinking about what are my interrelationships that I have within the people that I'm in charge with, the people that are in charge of me. Have I got a good working relationship where I can actually trust? Because trust is a huge element that works along with this. If I feel that you're respecting me, or if you're trusting me, you trust me, I trust you, the vision that you have, I'm willing to work towards. So as you move up from love and belonging into the next category, this is where the esteem still is necessary, but in your job, this is where it's about, I want advancement. I might want a title. I've worked hard enough, and I want the recognition of a job well done. So I want that by status, and the status might be is moving up in position. It might be in charge of a larger number of people. It might be becoming a manager. Whatever that next step up might be, so that the people that are working around you, they're respecting and seeing what you've done and acknowledging you for what you do. The next step up from there, and the self-actualization on the business side, is about the work itself. I love my work. I love what I do. It's the achievement because I'm doing what I love to do, and possibility of growth. Now, I hear so many people say that it's not about the money. It's about what I love that I do. But remember, money is way down at safety. You have to have that first. People will not work for... They might say it's not about the money, and I will do everything for such an extended period of time, but only for so long until it challenges my safety, my working conditions, which could affect my family and my growth. So people will tend to always think about, yes, it is about the money. Money is important in there, but they want the possibility of growth, and that growth might be moving up the ladder within it and being allowed to achieve. It might even be the possibility of growth that could be even moving from an employee position to an entrepreneur position where they actually start their own business. Now, just remember, the same thing that applied in Maslow's hierarchy of needs on a personal level applied to Hertzberg's theory of needs, that it happens on a business level, is if something happens when a person is at a certain level and a need is taken away from them or missed, they're going to drop down to the lowest level. Now, to give you a little bit of an idea of how this works, Hertzberg went on to add that in this environment, if you take the bottom two and you labeled those, he labeled them as maintenance needs. These were needs that were maintenance, things you had to have. Any of the needs that were in that above that line were considered motivational needs. And now the interesting part is you cannot have motivational needs until all of the maintenance needs are met. So that means let's give it an example, is that, remember, if somebody might be at an esteem level, and they've been getting through advancements, they've had great relationships with their bosses, their status is being there, they're respected by all of the people that are working around with them, and then something happens to them whereby they might be there's a shift in management, or there's a new person that comes in and threatens their working conditions or their job security. All of a sudden now, all of the advancements, all of those other things, now it doesn't matter. They don't care about the interrelationships that they have. Their need is job security, if that's what the missing need was, and they will immediately drop down to that level. And so our jobs that we have is to make sure that we're trying to find out what the missing need is. So if you think about that and you find somebody is in a position that was a part of your team, their esteem was there, they're willing to work, they were willing to jump in, their skill level is really high, but all of a sudden something is gone, something's missing, and you just can't figure out what it is. That's where the necessary part is if you truly want to do and you do want to help them find what their need is, that's where you're going to have to go into what we call straight talk.